Welcome to Deck Building Guides. Today I'm going to be talking about win conditions and what do that mean, what they are, and how to find them. This is going to be the first video for deck building guides because this is generally where a lot of people start out with. Win conditions can either be an idea of how you're going to win the game or a specific card winning you the game. A good example of an idea is a Zeraonia deck where it wins through elusive units hitting you, killing you. And the reason why, and the idea is just that. Just, you can't block the elusive cards, and so eventually you just lose to them. An idea of a specific card being a win condition is my Yasuo stun deck, where Yasuo is a win condition because all the cards are based around him and his interaction with them. He's kind of like the solo carry. When you play him, he kind of just wins you the game throughout all your cards interacting through him. Or maybe even like Swain's another win condition in this deck, where if he hits you, he deals a lot of damage and he can make the game very hard for you. And lastly, I want to talk about another win condition. And specifically in my decks is one that people are probably more familiar with, especially because it's a top tier deck, and that is a Maokai Nautilus deck. The win condition is Nautilus. You can also say Maokai is a win condition, but I'm going to kind of just focus on Nautilus right now and kind of go really in depth on why Nautilus is the win condition in this specific deck. This deck is really popular. You can probably go to a lot of these like guide websites like Mobilytics, and they'll have like whole deck lists and everything, so you can go check it out specifically. And yeah, I see a lot of people use this, and it's kind of like a very easy deck to make because it's really straightforward. But I'm going to talk about why Nautilus is the win condition in this deck, because he's not the only one, but he's one of three, and Maokai being another one. But Nautilus, why is he the win condition in this deck? Well, number one, he's the win condition in this deck pretty much because of his flip. When you go deep, he makes all of his sea monsters cost 4 less, and that's really good. He's also a 13/13 with tough and fearsome. So, A, he's a tanky dude. 2, he can't be blocked by small guys. So, it's a pretty good unit. And win conditions, a good thing to look at are their stats and then their abilities. Stats are their power, health, and their mana cost. So a 7 mana 13/13 obviously is insanely good. A general rule is a okay card is when a mana cost is equal to their power and health with no abilities. That's an okay card. That's an average card. But now we take in consideration of Nautilus' abilities and making sea monsters cost 4 less. Makes these sea monsters go from 4 to 8 to 0 to 4. And that's incredible. It's really strong considering they all get +3/+3, the sea monsters do. So now he basically made a 0 mana 7/7. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And so, yeah, that's why Nautilus is considered a win condition. Because one, he solo wins you the game. And the idea is basically like he wins with sea monsters, but him alone can win you the game, and that's why he's a win condition. The other win condition is another sea monster, which is Shipwreck Hoarder. Now, once again, always check the stats and the ability. Check the stats, and then also check his abilities. 7 mana 7/5. Obviously, if he had 7 health, you've been out of card. But, you know, let's look at his abilities. Deep. Okay. If he goes deep, he will become a 10/8. Okay, a 7 mana 10/8. That's pretty good. Compared to Nautilus, not that good, but Nautilus is a champion, so it's understandable why this card's not as strong as Nautilus. But then we look at his second part. When he summoned Toss 2, Summon, Shuffle 2 treasures. Well, first thing, it doesn't help you get deep, but then you look at the treasures, where it's a board wipe. Summon 3 8/8s when you're deep, and then you get 5 cards that cost 0. Ooh, yeah, this dude's pretty good. This is pretty good. You don't get these cards right away. You only get 2 out of the 3, but not getting 1 is not horrible. Like I tend to say this is the strongest one, but I'm not here to really talk specifics of this card. I'm here to kind of talk about why he's a win condition, and it's because he's a bomb. Bombs are cards that when you play them, people get scared, they're worried, and they're concerned. And this is a great example because, 1, he has high stats, especially when you're deep. But second, he brings a lot to the table, and looking at these treasure cards, it's very dangerous. It's very threatening to the opponent. And so they're scared, and this card can win you the game, and that's what allows it to be a win condition. It can solely win you the game. But there's another card that's similar in cost, similar in stats, that also have abilities, that's not in this deck, and it's not a win condition, is this one, Terror of the Tides. And I want to explain why this isn't a win condition, but a card that helps you win. And to kind of really just simplify, like just to oversimplify cards into 2 categories, you have win conditions and you have cards that help you win. Cards that help you win are just setup cards, draw spells, removal, such like that. Cards that win you the game are cards that are so strong that when you play them, they're high damage. Yeah, like exactly what it sounds like. They just win you the game some way. And there's a bunch of ways of how a card can be a win condition, but specifically, let's look at this card. Why isn't this card a win condition? Well, just like I said before, always look at the stats. Okay, it's 8 mana, 6/5. Well, if we look at Shipwreck Hoarder, it costs 1 less and it has 1 more power. So right away, it's like, okay, direct comparison, this card is already weaker. Okay. Well, we know they both have deep, but still 1 less power than Shipwreck Hoarder. It also costs 1 more less. It has Fearsome. It gives all sea monsters Fearsome. And so that's something that's like, that's a pretty strong ability that can be annoying. The problem is, how consistent is that being extremely useful? That's why it's not really a win condition. And it doesn't really help you win because Fearsome isn't this super crazy thing turn 8. Because by the time turn 8 comes around, there's probably not a lot of 2, 1, 0 power units still out. It's very like, you're not really going to win off this ability very consistent. With Shipwreck Hoarder, you're going to win off of his treasure cards pretty consistently or just off of his pure power. Now we go to the attack, where it gives enemies -2/-0 this round. And this is good. Like, when you see this, it's like, wow, that's really strong. The problem is that sea monsters, when they're deep, they get +3/+3. So -2 is just adding insult to injury because they're already huge. This card is just allowing you to win harder. And these cards aren't exactly cards that you want to have in your decks. Because cards that allow you to win harder aren't that good, because you have to be winning first and then play these cards to make it harder for the opponent to win. Card that's going to win you the game. This is a card that's just going to simply help you win the game, make it harder for your opponent to win. And because this card's so expensive, it's like, I don't want this card to help me win. If I play an 8-drop, I want it to win me the game. And that's why it's not in the deck. It's also, and amongst the reasons why I talked about, that's why it's not a win condition. It's just the stuff he does doesn't win you the game, just helps your cards that do win you the game win the game easier. And you can replace this card, and there's so many cards that are better in this situation, like Vengeance. Vengeance is a better card that costs 1 less. That'll help me win easier. Like playing 8-drop, trying not for it to die, and trying to attack, and trying for it to be like extremely useful. You know, those are the kind of situations that I'm having problems. Vengeance is just a card that helps me win without jumping through so many hoops, and it's cheaper. Also, Devour. Devour is a 6 mana sea monster that just removes something from the game, and that's also pretty good, and it helps me win. Just like it helps me win, and that's why Terror Tides is not that good of a win condition. To look at another win condition is Commander Ludros, and this card will win you the game because if you look at stats, a 9 mana 9/6, okay, for sure 9 damage is quite a bit. But then you look at its abilities. First off, play, you have their opponent's health rounded up, and I don't know if they fixed this, and I know how it sounds, but from personal experience, if someone plays this and you got 1 health, you actually lose. Then you look at its last breath, and it's returning to the hand, so you can keep playing him, and you keep cutting down their health, and you can combine this card with Atrocity, or you can just, if they try to kill him, you can just deal 9 damage to their face and then replay him next turn. So he's a great card, and he's a great win condition. And to kind of bounce back to a card that's not a win condition, but a card that helps you win, we look at the ships. And we have Gameplank's ship right here. And this was introduced in the new set, and the cards that got ships are Gameplank, Misfortune, Swain, and then Sejuani. What ships do, they all have like an ability, and then they have when you play it, draw the champion associated with them. So, for example, Dreadway doubles your damage and draws you Gameplank. And yeah, you might think this is a win condition, but it's actually just empowering Gameplank and your other cards. Because you don't win because of this. You win because it doubled the damage of your ability. So it's helping your actual win conditions. And for example, with this card specifically, if you're running a burn deck and you play this, it's helping your win condition, which is burning them to death, be more effective. Misfortune ships have Scout, and so if Misfortune is your win condition, she deals 1 damage every time a unit attacks. So, or if she flips, she deals 3. So having her ship and having that ship attack twice a turn because of Scout, that's empowering Misfortune to win you the game. Swain's ship deals 1 damage 3 times, which empowers Swain to stun 3 units and attack freely. Sejuani doubles the power and health of all of the units in your deck. Doubles all their power and health in your deck, including Sedge. In hand, I think. They do some crazy stuff that helps you win, but again, they don't win you the game. They help your cards win the game. And that's kind of the huge thing. And I kind of just, now I'm just going to go through some cards that are considered win conditions. And when you're deck building, you tend to build, when you're deck building, it's very common to start with your win condition because those tend to be cards that you get excited for and are really good cards to build a deck around. And Legends of Runeterra really, because Legends of Runeterra have champions and they say that you can only have 6 champions in a deck, it's tend to be a good starting point for Legends of Runeterra. Just find a champion you like, build a deck around it. Like Ezreal, Fiora, those are pretty easy. Like Ezreal wants to have a burn style deck. Fiora, you can run a Protect Fiora comp, where you make her really big and kill 4 units and you just automatically win the game. And not all win conditions are champions, like I've said, like I just talked about. And so I'm just going to kind of go through some cards that are win conditions from from the whole collection. And I'm trying to find one now. This is an example of a spell that can be a win condition. If you play a lot of spells, and then if you're running an Elise control deck, you played a lot of spells, Mind Meld. If you have 6 spiders, they can become 10/10s. You can win through that. So this is a good example of a spell being a win condition. This is a win condition for an elusive deck because, obviously, because it's elusive, stat-wise, it's a little bit weaker, but it busts up all your allies by +2/+2. So imagine having a board filled with elusive cards that they can't block, and you just buff them. This card's going to allow you to win the game. But if you look at something like Yone, yeah, you stun 2 cards. This will help you win the game, but he's not going to win you the game. And he's really good in a Yasuo deck. And Yasuo in a Yasuo deck, the win condition is Yasuo, but also in a Yasuo deck, you kind of just brute force a win where you just kind of like stun their units and you kind of just hit them a lot. And that's kind of like the idea of Yasuo decks winning, and their idea of winning is just stunning and hitting you. So he helps you win through your strategy, which is just going around them and hitting them. This is a good example of a card, a little bit cheaper of win condition. You can make a Vladimir deck where you just kind of ping her 1 damage at a time to make her really huge and hit for a lot of damage. This Horns of the Dragon is a pretty unique card because it's the only natural double attack card in the game right now. I think the other double attack units are Lucian and Senna, but you have to jump through some hoops for them to get a double attack where he has it naturally. And you can definitely build an Ionia deck around him being your win condition. And you can just, if he ever gets attacked freely, you can buff him and just one-shot them or something. That's definitely a viable strat. You can make a Poro deck around this. This is definitely the Poro deck win condition because you make a huge ball, and then when this dies, you get to play him. This is an example of a Demacia win condition where when you play her and you attack, you buff up all the other cards, and this is a good win condition for an elite Demacia deck. Because like you might think she might help you win, but just like the 4/2, she buffs up your allies and it makes it really hard. And Fearsome is strong on her because you can play her as soon as turn 6. And the difference between turn 6 and turn 8 with Fearsome is that turn 6 is a little bit earlier, where there could still be smaller units in the game. And so this will allow you to go around them. Turn 8 and beyond is kind of like there's less and less a possibility of having those small units around. Brute Awakening is actually a win condition for an elite control deck. Surprising it may be, but they actually buff up the spiders, so when you play them, they can become 4/3s. It's a very good Freyord Shadow Isles deck that I might do a deck guide on because I really like the concept. So stay tuned for that on my channel. Oh, but yeah, I'm going to stop there. I don't want to go through all the possible win conditions in the game because, there's so many, and you can make any win condition. You can make a lot of cards. You can make a case for a lot of cards to be win conditions, and you can make a lot of idea and concepts to be win conditions. And it's just about creativity and what you find. And that's a great thing about deck building, is that in games like this, it's very open. And even though you might have the same concept of the deck, it can be built very differently and run differently. And so don't be worried that your deck is not the exact same as another deck that has the same idea or the same champions, because it's fine. It's all about how you think, how you play. But definitely, I think if you're new to deck building, step 1 is definitely a good step. A good start is always finding what will win you the game and how you will win the game. That's always a good starting point for building any deck. And I hope this video helps you out, and I'll catch you guys next time.